Hello, what is up, YouTube? So, gonna bring you some Duel Links gameplay. I don't even know why that showed up. And obviously, from what this video is gonna be titled, I'm recording before I'm posting, but this title's probably gonna be something along the lines of like, Blue Eyes is broken, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna title this madness. All I know is Duel Eyes is broken. So. Now, these are against, these are against, actually this one's against the person, I believe. Yeah, no, this one's actually against the person, but as you can see here, I believe this is one of the Blue Eyes matches I had. This was before I edited the deck, too, because I edited the deck to be, like, much more consistent and a lot better. Realistically, you could have at least one copy of the Blue Eyes deck, and see my opponent does all that bullshit, and not really making much of a difference. It's funny, too, because he's actually running a Blue Eyes deck. But he's running one that's not quite as good. And how I know it's not quite as good is he's running this card right here. This tuner card. Yeah, you don't want to run that in the Blue Eyes deck. It's kind of like just a waste of something you could put in your deck. As you can see, I just set my Kid Modo Dragon. He attacks into it. Out comes my fucking, I can't remember what the name of this. Dragon Spirit of Light, or as I like to call it, Dragon Spirit of Sperm. Then here comes the other Dragon Spirit of Sperm. And you notice right there, and this is why that's broken, is I got rid of 2 of his spells and traps in his back row. That has to do with this guy's effect. When he gets summoned, he just starts banishing back row, which is pretty shitty. But the other reason why this deck is super broken is it doesn't matter. And see, here's the other fucked up part, is I just tribute summoned for Blue Eyes. Oops, what is it? So I just tribute summoned for Blue Eyes right there, and then I activate this. This guy comes back out, so if this guy had any more back row, I could banish it yet again. And then same thing here. Now, you could pair this with a lot of different skills. In various things. I just paired it with Beatdown because it's hilarious. So, you know, as you can see, this guy's toast. There's nothing he can do. I got rid of all of his back row before he could even use it. And even if he did use it at that moment, it wouldn't have made a difference. And the reason why it would not have made a difference is because I tributed both monsters and then pulled them back out of the graveyard. So if he had activated something that was like lowered, you know, my attack points or something, it wouldn't have mattered, because I would just brought the monsters back out and they have had full attack again. Now, here's one against, this one's against the bot. But it's again to, you know, just portray, like, just how busted this is. And this one was also before I tweaked the deck, before I purchased cards and tweaked it. But this is also pretty busted. Albeit it is against, you know, a bot using a pretty shitty deck. This deck is still busted as shit. This deck can easily take on Zane, no sweat. So when I activate this card right there, and I can just pull out where the hell I want, which of course is a bit, you know, White Spirited Sperm. So Dragon Spirited Sperm here. He attacks into it. Out comes Dragon Spirited Sperm. So then here comes, you know, gonna synchro. No? You know, I don't know why I didn't synchro there. Because I could have synced. Oh, wait, no, I couldn't have. Because I only have Azorize in the stack at the moment. Which is one of the differences between how I currently have it. How I currently have it, I like optimize the shit out of it. And every time I pull this guy out, I could remove a back row if my opponent had back row. So there's 2 times already that I could remove back row. Okay. That's 3 back row I could have removed from play. And it also has a special summoning effect that pulls out Blue Eyes, which is broken because then it allows me to pull this guy out. Now, how that works is, and I'm going to explain this here real quick, is Dragon Spirit of White Sperm. He is he's considered a normal monster when he's in your hand and when he's in the graveyard. So I can actually activate Birthright and special summon him from the graveyard, and when he gets special summoned from the graveyard, he still removes back row. At this point, it's just like game over. Like, because every time I pull out, once again, every time I pull out this guy, he removes back row, you know, and my monster is, of course, way bigger than my opponent's, and then with beatdown, you know, if my opponent has a Blue Eyes themselves, or, you know, they have a slightly bigger monster, it's not going to make a difference. And then, of course, you know, useless card of the century. So, you know, just good stuff. It's all real simple. Now, to build the deck that I show in those matches, you could realistically actually build that deck. If you started the game today, you could probably build that deck in 3 days. Okay? Yeah, that's right. You could probably build it in 3 days. Now, for the deck I currently have, it's going to cost you about $12. So I'm going to pull up the deck. Now, this version of the deck is more optimized. Okay, are we going to load this, or... Yeah, this is Konami for you, by the way. In case you were ever wondering what it's like to deal with Konami. That's exactly what it's like. So, it's real simple. You get 2 of these guys in one deck. Dragon Spirit of White Sperm, okay? Kid Motos you can get from Mokuba, or you can get from, you know, SR cards. So, you know, it's, you know, again, it's, so, my particular deck, it's 3 of these guys, okay? 3 of these guys, so 3 of these, okay? 2 White Stones of Legend, which I actually might get a 3rd one. Then it's 3 Cosmo Brain. Now, Cosmo Brain, you didn't get to see him in his effect, but his effect is nuts, okay? And how this guy works is he can get rid of any normal monster, so he can get rid of Blue Eyes from the hand or the field, and special summon himself. And he gains attack. Equal to the level times something, some amount. So pulling him out with Blue Eyes or with White Dragon Spirit of White Sperm. Using either of those cards to pull them out will give them 3,100 attack total. And you can use this guy to pull him out because this guy's considered a normal monster when in the hand. The other card is, of course, Bingo Machine Go. And it's real simple. You activate this card and you can add any card that mentions Blue Eyes or is a Blue Eyes card from your deck to your hand. You basically pick 3 different cards that do it. Your opponent selects one, and whichever one they randomly select is the card you get. Which is super busted too, and I put 2 of those in my deck, even though I have 3, because I just don't need 2. Or I don't need 3, but I have 2. This is super busted because if I just pick this card 3 times over, I can just get one of these cards. Or if I pick Blue Eyes 3 times over, I can get one of these cards. Then I have Silver's Cry, which Silver's Cry is not necessarily a must-have, but Silver's Cry is the optimal version of the card you want. The other cards you could use Birthright. Birthright is easier to get. In fact, I actually have 3 copies of Birthright. And just in case my opponent somehow gets a monster I can't deal with, or a group of monsters I can't deal with, I do have Wall of Disruption. However, that's not necessarily the only card you can put into this deck. To get rid of monsters, your opponent can't, that you can't deal with, you could put Lava Glom in this deck. That also works. And Lava Glom's easy to get. You could put Kaiba Man. That's another option. There's a lot of cards you could put in this deck. There's a lot of cards I could have put in this deck that I just didn't, because I personally like having Wall of Destruction in the deck. Ideally, you would want 3 Silver's Cries, and you would want to get rid of the 2 Birthrights. The Birthright card is good, however, it's just not great. You could also, let's see, I'll pull it up here. You could also, if you really wanted to, and I'll scroll through and find this card, you could also put in Dragon's Rebirth. Dragon's Rebirth also works. There's no reason why I can't use Dragon's Rebirth instead of using Birthright. And of course, Dragon's Rebirth is a good card to have. I would say the hardest card that's going to be hard to get is, White Stone of Legend out of all of these. All these other cards are relatively easy to get. You don't necessarily have to have White Stone of Legend. If you partook in the event, I don't know what's going on with this right now. If you partook in the event, you could use Psychic Ace instead. The idea is to just have a monster you contribute. And when you have a monster that you contribute that activates some kind of effect. So in Psychic Ace's case, he destroys 1 card, so he could destroy a monster. That's always nice. White Stone Legend, it's a searching effect that allows you to add Blue Eyes to your hand. But considering that you have 2 bingo machines in this deck, that's kind of a little redundant. However, White Stone Legend can be used to synchro summon. So, there's Azure Eyes, which has a nice effect. If you, for some reason, can't get rid of your opponent's back row, Azure Eyes can protect you from back row. Not from everything, but from anything that targets. Or if you just need to get Blue Eyes to your hand, for some reason you just can't get Blue Eyes to your hand, you could White Stone a Legend, and then Synchro for Giga Castle, and that'll give you Blue Eyes, and you can Synchro summoning that with, Dragon Spirit of White, because you can't use Dragon Spirit of White to pull out Azure Eyes. Now, there is another card I want to add to this deck, I just don't have it yet. and that is, of course, Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon would add just a little bit of toolboxing to the deck, so to speak, because then you could pull out, Whitestone Legend and Cosmo Brain, and Synchro Summon, and then have, Stardust Dragon. Then you can maybe activate Azure Eyes, and then have like Dragon Spirit of White or something like that. Right now, the biggest problem, I would say, with how my deck currently is just the fact that it does not have a level 8 Synchro. That's really the only thing. Because if I had a level 8 Synchro in this deck, it'd actually make things quicker. Now, with Bingo Machine Go, most of the time, like 99% of the time, you're going to be using it to try to get Blue Eyes. You're rarely going to be using it to try to get Dragon Spirit of White. However, it is good to have at least one in your deck, but don't hesitate to swap out Bingo Machine Go for, a White Stone of Legend, because a White Stone of Legend, in my opinion, is better. There's probably people out there that disagree with me, though, so, just grain of salt. You can, I wouldn't recommend it, because it doesn't work quite as well, but let's see if it ever, I don't know what is with this thing, but if you wanted to use Monster Reborn, and of course that's like really ridiculously easy to get, you can use that. It's just not as good. Another card you could add to the deck is you could add Blackluster Soldier, Envy of the Evening Twilight, because then you could, banish Cosmo Brain and then one of the light monsters in this deck, one of the various light monsters in this deck, and pull him out. But then keeping in mind most of these cards in this deck float, or, for those who are uninitiated to Yu-Gi-Oh, that means, cards that can just, be easily brought back from the graveyard. And a lot of these cards do that. Because Envy the Evening Twilight banishes one card, that one card could be the card that you might want to keep in your graveyard. However, if you banish Cosmo Brain, on the other hand, Cosmo Brain, once he's to the graveyard, he's really not coming back. There's no feasible way of this deck that he's going to come back. But the problem with that is you might be tempted with Blackluster Soldier's Envy of the Evening Twilight's effect to banish the light monsters instead, because, and this is also why this card in particular actually makes great utility, is when you banish a light monster, when you choose to banish a light monster, you get to target one monster on the field and banish it, including your opponent's monsters. And it doesn't matter if they're face down. They can be face down or face up. It does not matter. Versus if you choose to banish a dark monster, or if you choose to banish dark monsters, you just target one card in your opponent's hand, and then banish that out of their hand, and they get it back at the end phase, which I guess you could maybe get a Spirit Ebola out of their hand, but then the problem with, trying to go in that route and get rid of Spirit Ebola is you're getting rid of a random card in their hand. It makes no difference. So you might get a Spirit Ebola occasionally, but you might not. Now, here's the other problem, is if you have 2 light monsters in your graveyard, you have to have 2 dark monsters in your graveyard. You have to have the same number of light monsters as you do dark monsters in order to special him, which is pretty damn annoying. And, here's the other thing to think about. If you do pop the light side effect, if you have 3 Cosmo Brains in your graveyard, and you get rid of 3 Dragon Spirits of White Sperm, then you can't you can't use those anymore. You just got rid of 3 of them just to banish, one card in the field. So all in all, I would say you could put this card in your deck. It could offer quite a bit of utility, but then it also does make the deck more inconsistent. And this deck, I mean, like, you could swap out Wall of Destruction for anything, okay? Anything that will get rid of a monster quick. Like I said, you could do Lava Glom. You could get rid of 2 monsters if you really want to. That in mind, you know, it's not really worth it to you know, put Envy in the end, because there's other cards that will do the same thing that he can do, which is, you know, get rid of something that you don't want on the field, particularly a monster. You could put Offerings to the Doomed is another card. You know, this card, nobody really wants to use it because you have to skip your draw phase, but when you have, you know, Bingo Machine Go and Whitestone a Legend in your deck, you could actually get away with using Offerings to Doom and skipping your draw phase. You could also use Burst Stream of Destruction, and then Burst Stream of Destruction is searchable by Bingo Machine Go. Now, I think it should be really interesting to note, too, is because a lot of players can be like, oh, well, I don't use Blue Eyes cards. You know, I use Dark Magician, or I use Red Eyes. I will be covering that in a future video, probably, on this. But Cosmo Brain works with any normal monster. Okay, and his Tributing effect also works with any normal monster. Cosmo Brain, when he was originally released in real life, he was released with the Sorcerer's Citadel structure deck. He was designed for a Dark Magician deck. That was his original purpose. So if you do have a Dark Magician deck, you can use Cosmo Brain for Dark Magician. He will fit in your deck. That was the original purpose he was designed for. You can also use Cosmo Brain with Red Eyes. There was really good synergy back in 2008 between Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon. And you can use, you know, again, you can use Red Eyes Black Dragon and Cosmo Brain. You can use it in different ways. Right now, in Duel Links, on the other hand, it's not quite as good using those two instead of Blue Eyes, but you can do it. It'll still be very powerful. The only problem, you know, is, you know, just removing back row at that point, which Dark Magician actually is pretty good about removing back row. So, you know, you might be able to do that, and Red Eyes Black Dragon has plenty of ways to ignore back row, so you could get away with it. You could, Guns Blazing did a video not too long ago where he used Cosmo Brain with Elementor Hero Neos and used Neo Strike, and he basically Neos fisted people in the asshole. So, you know, that works. You could use, you know, Neos. Neos works too. Basically, you can use it really realistically with any normal monster. And you can even use it with low-level normal monsters. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be some high-level normal monster you don't want. So you can use it with the Ojamas. It will work with the Ojamas, though there's, you know... Cosmo Brain's not going to have high attack with the Ojamas, which is the only thing. So he's only going to get, like, maybe, you know, 2,000 something attack or whatever. But it would work. It would make Ojamas more consistent. Realistically, and here's the other thing, other people are complaining about Cosmo Brain. You can complain about Cosmo Brain all you want, but looking at just my deck alone, you know, there's not a lot of cards that they can really hit. So if they hit Cosmo Brain and they, you know, knock them down to 2, all that would happen is I would just get another card and put it. If they knocked him down to 1, it wouldn't matter, okay? Because even at 1, Cosmo Brain would still work perfectly. Konami would literally have to ban Cosmo Brain, and considering you can only get them through a structure deck, Konami's not going to ban Cosmo Brain. And if he was limited to 1, all I would do is just put in 2 Kyberman. Like, that's really all that would happen. And so then I would just roll out Kyberman, and that would be it. You know, one of the cards that you do get in structured deck that you can also maybe put in the deck is Blue Eyes Solid Dragon. And it's an okay card. It's a good card. It's just not consistent. You can't, let's see, you can't pull him out with Kyberman, okay? So you could search him with Bingo Machine Go, and you could use Kid Moto Dragon to pull him out, but that's about it. Which is the problem, is there's just not a lot of ways to pull him out. But once you initially pull him out, you're going to piss your opponent off, which is nice. It's just, you know, it's the thing where it's like, it's a good card. It's a card that I would use in this deck if I needed to. But it does make the deck more inconsistent, so, you know, I would, you know, rather go with other cards that are far more consistent. Another card I was playing with a while back in this deck and goofing around was with Peyton the Dark Clown. Putting Peyton the Dark Clown, and Peyton the Dark Clown's a rare card, so he's really easy to get, was a lot of fun. Because, I mean, you know, you could piss your opponent off by just stalling. You could get rid of Peyton, you know, through Cosmo Brain's effect, pull out a Blue Eyes, and then pop out another Peyton Dark Clown. So, you know, there was a couple of just miscellaneous things you could do that would just irritate your opponent, and that was great. Another card you could use instead of Blue Eyes White Dragon, I don't know why you would, because it's the same idea, but you could use Rabid Dragon. I just figured I'd mention it because Rabid Dragon does not get a lot of love. And the other thing is, Rabid Dragon's a normal monster. You can use your normal tickets to get him. You could use Cosmo Brain for Elemental Heroes as well. And he actually works pretty damn well with Elemental Heroes. I was kind of neatly surprised. But it's really more of a way just to have a beater, like an extra beater monster to your Elemental Hero deck. So it's really a card you'd only really use Cosmo Brain if you couldn't get your hands on Polymerization or your opponent negated Polymerization. So it's really Cosmo Brain just gives you an extra win condition, which does make Elemental Heroes a lot more consistent. I would actually like to see, and maybe, you know what, maybe I will make a video after I farm Yuki Jaden some more. I'll probably make a video where I do Elemental Heroes with Cosmo Brain, because that would be interesting. It probably won't be quite as powerful as the Blue Eyes deck, but it'll still be, you know, fairly powerful. A card you could use with Elemental Heroes too would probably be Mechino Archfiend, if you wanted to. Personally, I'd rather have Cosmo Brain though, but that's just me. You could use it in a D Heroes E Heroes mixture as well, because then you know, this guy would pull out E Heroes, you know, from the graveyard. Then you have him, he's a dark type, so then he would sync, you know, he'd fusion well with the D Hero Dangerous, and you could, you know, use him with Destiny Heroes. I should mention that it's worth noting that if you're too greedy, you can miss the timing on, you know, Dragon of White Sperm, or excuse me, Dragon Spirit of White Sperm. So if you use this to pull him out and then use his effect and then activate, like, you know, another one of these or one of these, or, you know, activate his effect on top of it, you can actually miss his timing and he won't remove back row, which is pretty bad. So, you know, you do have to be careful of that, but as long as you don't get greedy, you should be fine. Yeah, and I just wanted to do this video because I thought this was neat, and, you know, I enjoy kind of watching these types of videos, so I figured I'd do one myself. I will say, if there's one thing I hate about Duel Links, it's the music. Like, if I could just replace the music with some death metal, that would be great. Anyways, if you do like this video, you know, comment, subscribe, like it, whatever the hell you want to do. If you don't, I'm not going to beg you to, you know, comment or like or subscribe or whatever. I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit. If you don't like this video and you want to leave some nasty comment, you can, but I'm probably just going to ignore you. But if you do have something actually relevant to say to this video, do comment it, because I would want to read, you know, interesting ideas or things, or maybe there's a deck you want to see, or maybe there's a game that I might already have that you want to see me play. I have PS3, PS2, I have a variety of video games. I think I even have a couple PS1 games. You know, of course, this is on a laptop, so I do have, well, I only have like 4 games on here. But I do have, the point being is I do have some stuff, so. Well, that is it.